righty. Sorry about being late again. Technical difficulties. Don't know what the heck happened. Um. Anyway, audio's working, video's working. We are good to go. Welcome to the Ultimate Audie Show here on a Monday night. Red Petty, I don't know if you're doing as good as the fans of the Kansas City Chiefs are, or as bad as the San Francisco 49er fans feel right now, or somewhere in between. But if you could take the next few seconds and express your emotions using one of those two terms, which are you closer to at this present moment?
Related to the results of the game or just in life in general?
Related to the results of the game, are you feeling the way the Chiefs fans are or the way the Niner fans are?
Actually, you know what? I don't really care for either team. I mean, they're both very good teams. There was no flukes this year. I mean, San Francisco was the number 1 seed in the NFC, and Kansas City beat the number 2 seed and the number 1 seed to get to the Super Bowl by beating both the Bills and the Ravens on the road to get to the Super Bowl. So they're two very good teams. They both deserve to be there, played well enough to be there. You get to an overtime game and then anything can happen. But I don't really I don't care for the Niners because they compete against the Cowboys all the time. As you know, Cowboys are my team. And then for Kansas City, I mean, yeah, they're a good team, but I don't always like to have the same team win over and over again. I didn't like it, when the Patriots won all those years, even though my son-in-law loves the Patriots and loves Tom Brady. But so I kind of wanted to see. I mean, if you're going to ask me who was I really rooting for, I was probably underlyingly rooting for San Francisco, but only because they hadn't won it in a while, and I just like to see new people win it as opposed to the same team winning over and over again. But that being said, Kansas City deserved to win the game. I mean, they got outplayed in the first half. They made adjustments at halftime. And then in the overtime, I mean, they deserve to win. So, but yeah.
Here's a quick thing before we get to hockey. With the change of results and both teams guaranteed a possession in overtime, regardless if there's a score or not in these new playoff rules.
Yeah.
Would you elect to kick or receive the ball first if you were a coach?
Oh, for me, I would defer. You're right. During the regular season, you want the ball because you want to score first and you want to put pressure on the team, because if you score a touchdown, then the game's over. Whereas in the playoffs, you're right. Even if you score a touchdown, the other team gets the ball. So by deferring, you play with much more knowledge than the other team. Like for San Francisco, they don't know what's going to happen, if they're going to score or not. And you're calling your play, the way you're mentally attack the game is, well, it's almost like we have to get a field goal for sure. Well, we at least have to get a field goal. Boy, we better get a field goal. So what are you shooting for? Shooting for a field goal. Whereas if San Francisco hoops a field goal or they get a touchdown, either way, Kansas City comes on the field and says, we know what we need to get. We need to get a field goal to tie a game, or we need to score a
or nothing, if the first drive is
there's no pressure. But I'm just saying, what you're up against. And then that allows you to call your plays and even to attack the game very differently. So for me personally, I'd rather know 100% of what I'm up against versus not knowing, and call plays and have the mentality of my players as such too. So for me, I would have deferred. But again, it's all day. I mean, who knows? Because it's hard to score a touchdown anytime. So I mean, San Francisco could have marched on the field, scored a touchdown, and then Kansas City comes down. Then all the pressure is on them just to score a touchdown to win the game, or to tie the game and potentially set it to another overtime. So.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because I was having this discussion just to pull it to a hockey segment now. I was having this discussion with somebody. Would you rather shoot first, or would you rather shoot last in the shootout? And that's where kind of that Super Bowl relevant discussion kind of started before the results of the Super Bowl was known. Historically enough, in the coaches that I talked to, they prefer to shoot first over last. That's just the mindset, I guess. I don't know. I mean, to kind of put pressure on your opposition to tell the opposition what you need seems to be, the mindset. But I'm not a coach, and
And it's
I
not
think
the same
that's more
scenario.
out of
It's not the
pardon.
same scenario because you're going back and forth for
Oh, I know, I know.
shooters, and it's not the same. In hockey, I would always shoot first if I have the choice, or if I win the coin toss or whatever, because I want to put pressure on the other team. Exactly. But in this case, for the NFL overtime in the playoffs, in that
Yeah,
scenario where each team gets the ball, and it's yeah, and it could potentially go on forever, back and forth. You want more information to know what's going on. For me, I would defer, so that I know I got to get field goal, I got to get a touchdown, or if I want to win outright, I get a touchdown and then I go for a 2-point conversion. Like it
such
just
is what
it
happened
changes,
yesterday.
yeah,
It was
it
an opening
changes
drive.
everything. It changed up, but it changes everything. It changes even how you call plays. It changes how you
Yeah,
think in terms of how aggressive you are in calling plays. Even your players, how aggressive they play because they know it's do or die versus not. You could just tell. San Francisco came down the field, was kind of okay, I guess we'll get a field goal. And then Kansas City comes on the field. What do they know? They have to get a field goal. They know they have to score. They know they have to get at least 40, 50 yards to put their guy into field goal range. So I'm just saying it's completely the mindset is completely different, and that's why I would defer. But that's me. So, bang. But
fair
that's
enough.
not football. I don't want to talk about football. We're here to talk
Fair
hockey.
enough. Fair enough. I just wanted to ask it. I was curious that there was a discussion after I watched the overtime last night, and then watched the full game earlier today because I was working last night.
But it was a
Um,
good game. It was
so
a
I was
very
unable
good.
to watch it. Um, Good game for the second half and overtime. The first half to me left a lot to be desired, but that's another whole discussion in itself. Let's talk about the Battle of Ontario. I know we usually start talking about the Jets, but I really, 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 really want to get your thoughts on this. Petty or not petty for what's going on between the Leafs or between the Leafs and the Senators. For context, Saturday night, former Brandon Wheaton Ridley Dredd has a breakaway on an open net, and he puts a slap shot into the back of the net to give Ottawa a 5-3 lead over Toronto. Morgan Riley takes exception and body slams him into the boards and starts a brouhaha off the faceoff. I'm not sure if Donnybrook would qualify in this instance, but it led to um, quite a heated discussion, quite a heated debate about the hockey code and all that kind of cool stuff. It seems to always come up from discussions like this. What do you think about the whole situation, With? Do you feel that the Leafs should take exception to Ridley Dredd firing a slap shot into the back of the net as an empty net goal? Or would you be just as mad as the Toronto Maple Leafs are, and more in particular, Morgan Riley is? For context, Morgan Riley had an in-person hearing with the National Hockey League tomorrow, which allows them to suspend him for more than 5 games for this incident. Where do you sit? The Leafs seem to think if you're going to have a slap shot on an open net with an open net, then sorry, the rest of it is acceptable. Whereas if you're anybody outside of the Leafs that I've talked to, they say both, he's entitled to do what he wants with the empty net. Where do you sit? How do you sift through this? Oh, can you hear me, Rhett?
Well, yeah, you're kind of in and out, in and out.
Oh,
If your internet was
yeah, no, I'm just wondering, where do you sit on this whole Toronto Ottawa feud back and forth?
well, I don't know what else is underlying besides this. I mean, it's always a good game between Ottawa and the Leafs because Ottawa seems to be playing really well lately, and they've sort of ramped up their game, and the Leafs all year long have kind of floundered. They go on some runs a little bit and they win a few games, but then they lose to teams they should probably win against, teams that are well beneath them in the standings. So, but for this, Hey, listen, I don't know about this written or unwritten rule, but there's some things that are just that you don't do if you're classy. Okay. You're even if it's Battle of Ontario, even if Greg has been poked and prodded and he's been jabbed with verbal jabs and all sorts of things, and guys talking about his mama at the face-off circle or whatever else. That does not mean that when you have a breakaway in an empty net and you shoot that thing like you're going top corner against the goalie on a power play, you don't do it. You just don't. There's no circumstance. I don't care. Any NHLer, even his own teammates, they're kind of quiet. They wouldn't like it if somebody from the Leafs, and Morgan Riley had come down and the Leafs were up by 1, and now they're coming in and scoring on an empty net. And Morgan Riley would come in and 3 feet outside the net, he would wind up and pump a slap shot, 100-mile-an-hour slap shot into an empty net. The Tkachuk and all those guys would be over the boards jumping on Riley. So don't give me this high and mighty. No hockey player would like that. It's classless. It's not necessary. You just put the puck in the net. Nobody's going to high stick you. If you would have just put the puck in the net, just very gently, a little wrist shot, or just push it across the line like you see Mark Scheifele or Kyle Connor do often, it's fine. No big high fives. No yaw like this. Just whatever. That's class. What Greg did was Bush League. So that's the first thing. Now, should Riley go over there and put a high stick into his nose? Or I think he cross-checked him right in the head. That was too much. I would have gone over and just would have, with the glove in his face, or kind of would have shoved him into the boards. And then I get a 2-minute penalty, whatever, maybe a 5-minute penalty because it's the last 2 minutes of the hockey game. Okay, fine. You're not going to get suspended. But he's getting suspended because he took his stick and he crammed it into the side of his head and hit him in the head with a stick. And that's a no-no. It's a no-no for that. It's a no-no anytime. So for that, Riley's not using his brain. But I would, if it was me, I would have gone over there and I would have given Greg a shot and would have put a glove in his face and would have probably hammered him into the boards too. Same thing. So how about for you? You don't think that's anything wrong with what he did?
I think I think it's petty on both sides, to be completely honest.
Really?
Grow up, guys. I mean,
who? No, yeah, but who had started it? Who started it?
No, I'm just saying.
Are you talking to
I
Greg?
agree with you. No, I'm just saying that I agree with you, but it's petty on both sides. It's
who started it?
When you have an open net and you have a breakaway, you don't need to do 100-mile-an-hour slap shot to the back of the net. But if you're Morgan Riley, you don't need to two-hand the guy in the back of the head.
Okay, yeah, but do you think it was okay that Riley went over there and jammed him? If he would have just jammed him, hit him and then shoved his mitt into his face, would that have been okay?
Purposely, I would have gone over there and I would have probably put a glove in the face and said, hey, tone it down.
Yeah, okay. So
but again, I think this is why the NHL lacks to basketball and to football, but more particularly basketball, is you don't get these heated feuds, these, this he said, no, he said, no, they said, no, I said. It's good for the game to get this back and forth. I just don't like it when, it's a slap shot to the open net and then a two-hander right in the face. To me, I think that's intent to injure. I think that's cross-checking. That's whatever you want to call it. But his argument will probably be in the hearing. I didn't intend to get the guy in the face. I meant to cross-check him. I just happened to get him in the face. That's where I think the argument is going to be.
Yeah.
But again, it's self-control of your stick. You are responsible for your stick and everything that ensues afterward. It's like when I high-stick the guy like normal. I didn't intend to high-stick a guy. Okay, you didn't intend to, but you did, right? I didn't intend to crank the guy in the face. but I did.
Yeah.
And so I mean, there's consequences on both sides. Now, Ridley Dredd probably, in hindsight, would probably want that back. It is the Battle of Ontario, which we haven't had in many, many years. Um, I can remember 2003, 2004 playoffs, Ottawa and Toronto battling back-to-back years. Leafs winning both of those games, Patrick Lalime, Eddie Belfour being the goaltenders.
Yeah.
The Battle of Ontario has just never been the same since then. Either Ottawa's really good, Toronto's really bad, or Toronto's competitive and Ottawa's sort of rebuilding.
Mm-hmm.
It brings spice back into the rivalry as much as I don't like what either side did.
Okay. But I'm still going to say nothing happens if Greg just goes up and wrist shots.
Absolutely not. Because what else is he supposed to do?
Skates by and does nothing. As soon as he did that, I was watching the game, and he came down and he pumped that thing into the net. I said, "Uh-oh." That's the first thing I said, and literally 3 seconds later, bang! Just because it's coming. I mean, you got to be as dumb as a bag of hammers if you do that and not think that somebody on the other team is going to get upset. And what's interesting is not many guys on the Senators said anything in his defense, especially if you asked Tkachuk. If you asked Brady Tkachuk, he would have probably dropped the gloves and started wailing on if that had been Riley. Oh, he would have come over, dropped his gloves, grabbed him, and started pounding him in the face even before Riley could get his hands up and get his gloves off. So I'm just saying, it's all relative. When it's your teammate, suddenly, I don't know what to say. So whatever. It's Bush League. That's what I can tell you. It's Bush League. You don't do that. You don't do it in any other sport. It's like what happened where if you remember in the NFL, there were the last game of the season there where Winston there for Jamarius Winston or the guy was playing backup quarterback for the Saints, and they were going into a what is that called? A formation, into that sort of
running the ball into the knee down.
And then he faked that, and then he threw a pass and gave it to the guy, and he said, because the guy hadn't got a touchdown all year, and he overrid the play call from the coach, which was to go into your victory formation and just go a knee and whatever, and he overrid that, faked that, and then with the Bush League. I don't care if the guy didn't get a touchdown all year. That's not our fault. Don't ruin the game by doing dumb things like that. It's dumb because all you're going to do is get a reputation of being a schmuck. Anyway, I said my piece. But otherwise, I love the game. It was a great game. So
let's talk about the Winnipeg Jets. Obviously, a loss in Philadelphia where, let's be frank, I don't think they got off the bus in the first period and fell behind 3 or 4-0.
That was a terrible game. That was terrible. They didn't do anything in that game. Nothing. I agree with you. I don't know who was on the ice with those skates and uniforms on. Well, it wasn't the Jets that we know, because it looked like a complete mail-in of a game. In my mind, there's no emotion.
Yeah, it looked like the team. It looked like the team that had 1 foot on the airplane back to Winnipeg.
Yeah, no spunk, no desire, no edge, no nothing. It was just like malaise. It was like mayonnaise on a piece of toast. It was just
Yeah, it's just very interesting that way. Do we chalk that off as a one-off?
Yeah, that's just a one-off, I guess. Yeah. Well, because they won on Saturday night, so.
Yeah, but even that wasn't as quite convincing, depending who you talk to. Like, that one was dicey in the second period in particular. What did you see in that game?
Yeah, okay. So they outplayed the Penguins the first period. It should have been 6-0. I mean, all Scheifele and Ehlers have to do is shoot the puck. I mean, it's ridiculous. You go down a 3-on-1, you don't even get a shot on net. It's like, I saw there was one time, if you watch the game, there was one time, I think, a Perfetti, that was in the second period. He came down with Minikoff, and he was right in the slot, and then he passed it off, and then it went in the skates, and somebody knocked it away. And then they went to Rick Bowness on the thing, and I don't know to say what he said because it wasn't a nice word, but he just said, "Shoot the bleeping puck." Oh my! Like he's just like this, and he put his hands on his face, and he's like, "You're right in the slot between the hash marks. Shoot the puck." My goodness, you're not going to score if you don't shoot. It's ridiculous. That was in the second period, but in the first period, they should have been up 4-0, 4-0 for sure. It might have even been 5-0 with all the chances they had to score, with the breakaways and 3-on-1s and 2-on-1s. It's just whatever. They ended up getting 2, which is fine. Their power play still stinks on ice. It's terrible. It's absolutely awful. I don't know what is. There's too many talented players in the team to not have a good power play. I can't figure it out. But maybe it's the disease. It's, who wants to shoot on that team? I don't know. Who shoots? Everybody wants to be Thomas Steen. Everybody wants to pass the puck. Nobody wants to shoot.
Yeah, just shoot the puck. It's amazing what happens when you shoot the puck sometimes. You score a goal, right?
Yeah, but even if you don't score, at least the fans see something. You make their goalie move. Take some shots, because you know what happens? A lot of times you take a shot, maybe you don't score on the shot, but then it scrambles. It hits a guy's skate. It bounces out in front, goes to another guy's stick, bangs off of him, comes to the rebound, comes back out to the point, and then they're shifting and moving around, and then they're kind of scrambling, and then you get a lane that's open. You don't get that if you don't shoot the puck to start and make the other team have to defend and have to do something. If you're just passing it around the outside, boring. They just stay in their box and defend the outside. Okay, fine. You're not going to shoot. Okay, we'll just skate around in the box. But anyway, that being said, they still deserve to win. They outplayed the Penguins dramatically in the first period. Okay, second period, not so much. Hellebuck was there. Then the third period, oh my gosh, some of those penalties. Did you see the penalty? Did you watch that game?
No, I didn't. I just heard about it.
Nate called a penalty, and anybody who's listening knows exactly what I'm talking about. It was about I'd say about 5 minutes left. A guy came through the middle, and Nate Schmidt kind of put his hip out to kind of give him this hit as the guy was going by. And he didn't really even hit him. The guy kind of moved to avoid Nate Schmidt, fell down, and the ref called a penalty for interference. And then Nate Schmidt is such a nice guy. He doesn't get mad. He just has this big grin on his face, and he looks at the ref and he goes, it's just like almost embarrassing you, like to say, really? Like, you're going to call that? Really? Really?
Saying a lot without saying anything, Rick.
Yeah, exactly. And especially Nate Schmidt, he's too nice a guy. He'll laugh it off. I mean, he could get upset too, but I'm just saying, as opposed to him getting mad, like if that had been, I don't know, Brendan Dillon or, with DeMello or somebody else, they would have gotten mad, slammed their stick on the ice or whatever. And then Nate Schmidt just goes, come on, seriously? Yeah, that's the look he gave. It's really funny. If you look it up maybe it's on YouTube, it's very funny. And then they kill off that penalty, and then they turn right around the Penguins and call a real sort of a soft, cheapy one against the Penguins too. So again, refs inserting themselves into the game. The game was pretty good without any penalties being called, and then you call cheap garbage.
It's almost like they say, it's been such a good game, but hey, don't forget about us.
Yeah, we're in here too. Yeah, we skate around with uniforms on too. I know, it's terrible. But anyway.
What do you think of the Jets' penalty kill in the last 2 games? Obviously very good considering.
Not good against the Penguins, but yeah, they were okay against the Flyers. Yeah, because the Flyers scored all their goals on even strength, I think, pretty well. Yeah, I think.
But do we think that this penalty kill is turning the corner? Or too early to say?
Well, they miss Brendan Dillon. He plays usually the first pairing defenseman, like depending if he's on the ice right before. But if he's not, he's the first pairing defenseman with Pionk to kill penalties. So I think they miss Brendan Dillon. I think it's still pretty good penalty killing. It's not the problem. The problem is a power play. But their penalty killing is okay. It's not great. It could be improved. But that power play, I don't think they've scored a goal in their last, I think it's like 33 chances or something. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like 7 games, 8 games. I don't know what it is. That's like that. It's awful. If I was at the game, I don't know if I said this last show, I was at the game on when the Jets played who? When they played Toronto at home and they lost 4-2. And there was a guy behind us that was yelling. And when they got a power play, they said, say no, like deny it. Don't take it. Tell Toronto we don't want their guy to go into the penalty box. We play better 5-on-5 than we do when we have a man advantage, because that's how bad it is. It's awful. So, and I don't know how you fix that. I mean, who runs the power play? Is that Brad Lauer or is that Scott Arniel? I don't know. Do you know who that is? Michael?
Yeah.
Who runs the power play? Brad Lauer or Scott Arniel?
I think so, Lauer, yeah.
Okay. It's not good, but whatever.
I mean, if everything was all roses and green grass fit, the Jets would be going 82-0 and there wouldn't be a problem.
True. But on the upside, they scored. They were offensive. Sean Monahan should have had a shorthanded goal. He banged a puck so hard. My dad was there and he heard it, and his hearing is not great. And he heard that puck bang. It hit the corner of the crossbar and the post so hard, the puck bounced in the air all the way back in behind the blue line, almost to center ice. So he should have scored there. So that's good. The Jets had scoring chances, whatever. And Hellebuck played amazing. So
question, Tana, I don't know if you know the answer to it or what have you, but you can let me know. What do you view as sort of paramount they need next couple games? Because they have the Sharks, they have the Canucks on the weekend on Saturday, and that's a game, to be honest, that I'm really looking forward to.
yeah,
Is the game in Vancouver, and then they play Monday in Calgary, and then Tuesday back in Winnipeg against Minnesota.
yeah. And that game against the Flames is an afternoon game, I guess, because it's holiday
Yeah,
Monday.
it's an afternoon game, 3 o'clock.
Yeah, both in Manitoba and in Alberta. That's the family day or the Louis Riel day. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you need to learn about the Winnipeg Jets this week? And the reason I'm mentioning the Sharks is the Jets have had their struggles against the Sharks despite them winning, despite the Jets being favored to win, obviously, with San Jose's record and what have you. But are you excited for the game in particular with Vancouver? And then what would you need to sort of learn from the Winnipeg Jets to continue to, I guess, take a step forward and put this 5-game slump that they just ended in the rearview mirror?
Yeah. Good
Because
question.
if you look at it, Rick, it's teams number 30 to number 32 in the lead, and then the number 1 and number 2 team in the NHL. You get both sides of the spectrum in 48 hours.
Yeah. Well, it's more than 40. It's Wednesday, Saturday. They don't play after.
Yeah, but you know what I'm getting at. It's,
I think it'll be a really good test for the Jets. Vancouver play. They have a ton of offense. They move the puck so well. You want to watch a good power play? If the Jets take a penalty against San Jose, you'll see what a good power play is, because they move the puck around. They fire it around. They are aggressive. They are quick, and they move the puck quickly, and they take shots. And they don't just plod along like the Jets do. So that'd be something for the Jets to look at. If they're looking at tape, they could see why does Vancouver have such a good power play. There you go. But you're right. You're going to see San Jose. And San Jose, they don't cheat the game. They're going to play hard. They're going to come. The Jets are going to have to be ready. But you're right. I'm interested in seeing how the Jets fare against Vancouver, because that's a real test, because Vancouver is, I would say, is an upper echelon team. Right now, they are your top 5, top 3 in the league. So I know exactly where the Jets are in comparison. Probably, I think they're just below that or just underneath the top 5. But I would say Vancouver's right up there right now with the Golden Knights, with
Yeah, they're sizably ahead of the Golden Knights right now. They picked up 3 out of 4 points on the weekend, including the JT Miller overtime goal against Washington yesterday after losing in Detroit the day before.
Yeah.
But when do we start seeing that Vancouver is for real despite what the analytics say? Like, to me, there's a large portion of people that suggest that, oh, Vancouver is only there because they're outscoring their problems. They can score and they get timely goaltending. Um, and they win a lot of games that maybe they shouldn't win analytically because they're not so good defensively, blah, 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 blah. Is it time we start looking past that and say, yes, the Vancouver Canucks are in first place. They deserve to be in first place in their division, and they're going to be a playoff team.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue.
Because it just seems like so many people are so surprised that they're still here.
I am not surprised that they are still in first place. They are, but you're right. I think there is something like they're scoring at a pace that has not been seen for a long time, but they've done it all year. It's not like they did it like the Oilers now just for a few weeks, 3 weeks in a 4 weeks in a year. They've been doing it ever since like the second week of the season. And who's to say they can't keep it up? I don't know. As long as they don't get injuries. I mean, if you get injuries, that can change everything, right? Especially to your star players. But Vancouver they're going to be a real interesting challenge for the Jets. I'm really looking forward to that game on Saturday night. I think it's going to be real telling. Hopefully the Jets will be ready to go there. They haven't looked great. I think they're just coming out of their malaise of the player break or whatever. So hopefully, they were a little bit better. They were awful against the Penguins and the Flyers. They were much better on Saturday against the Penguins at home. I think they'll be even better against San Jose at home on Wednesday night. And then we'll see what they do in Vancouver on Saturday night. So, yeah, I agree with you. It'll be a really good test because Vancouver is a very good team. Be interesting.
Yeah.
What would be interesting to see is to see how the Jets with their defensive play, right? Because we hear so much about how you have to play defense to win games and to win championships. That if the Jets hang into their structure and Hellebuck plays well and they clear the puck and they smother rebounds and so on, if they're able to keep this game low scoring, like let's say win the game 2-1 or 3-1 with an empty netter or 3-2, I don't think they're going to win. If they go into a gun show with the Canucks and try to win 7-5 or 7-6, I just don't think that's going to work. So
is this one of those games of whoever imposes their will on the other team is going to win the game?
Well, it's always that way, yeah.
Because it just seems like it's contrasting styles.
Yeah, I mean the Jets skate well too, and they play offense. I think Vancouver's that same style. They forecheck, they put pressure on the puck, which is very similar, to the Jets system. I think the Jets system, I think they play it a little bit better on the defensive side. I think Vancouver still give up a lot of good scoring opportunities to their opposition. It's just their goalie has been Demko. Thatcher Demko has been amazing, and whenever they need him to make a huge save during whether they're killing a penalty or if they just they have some sort of a breakdown, the other team comes down a 2-1, he makes a huge stop to have them hanging in there. So yeah,
here's an interesting thing that I just want to talk about before we wrap the show up here because we're almost out of time, and sorry for the technical difficulties. The Calgary Flames, since trading Lindholm and who's the other that they traded?
Oh, and Zadorov.
Yeah. So since they've kind of gone into this retooling mode, they've now won 4 in a row. They're playing the 5th game now against the New York Rangers. It is 0-0 at the end of the first period. Your thoughts on the Calgary Flames, who are fighting for a wild card as it currently sits? Are the Flames a wildcard team as currently constructed?
Yeah, I think so. We said that at the beginning of the year. We thought they'd be much better. And actually, look, excuse me. Did we? Yes, you had Calgary in the Pacific, and I had Calgary in the Pacific. Actually, we both did. So, and that was before they traded away Lindholm and Zadorov. Interesting, both to Vancouver too, which is kind of interesting. You trade.
Yeah, and then they also moved to Foley. They also moved to Foley in the offseason to New Jersey for Yadier Sharangovich,
Yeah.
who now makes up part of their first line along with the guy from Vancouver and Andre Kuzmenko, who we talked about last week. The Flames, to me, are an interesting case of they have a lot of UFAs, but they're not bad enough to tank, but they're not good enough to be up and near the top. They're in the mushy middle.
They could be mushy middle, but I still think they have the talent to be a playoff team. I think they underperformed the first half of the year. So let's see if they come anywhere near playing to their level of capability in terms of the talent they still have on that roster. They are a playoff team, and they will be a playoff team. But you have to prove it.
Who do you like more to win a playoff series, the Edmonton Oilers or the Calgary Flames?
Oh, the first round, or are they going to play each other or no?
No, I'm not saying they're going to play each other. I'm going to say, who right now do you trust the most to win a playoff series?
Oh, I would say right now the Oilers.
Pardon me, sorry?
The Oilers.
Why?
Because I just think they've proved it, like you're saying, right now. And so right now, the Oilers just came off a 16-game winning streak or whatever
Correct,
it was.
Yeah.
So the Flames haven't done that. The Flames have been inconsistent all year long. The Oilers were not even inconsistent. They were terrible the first 2 months of the year, and now they've turned it around ever since they did their coaching change. So right now, I still think I still think the Oilers are right there. And what's interesting is you look at who's still available for sort of the trade board, whether that's Adam Henrique out of Anaheim or whether that's even Jake Gensel out of the Penguins. They're saying he might be available. Wow, if the Flames were able to add Jake Gensel, or the Oilers even, they're talking the Oilers might be in the mix for Jake Gensel to play on a second line there. Like that's where I think the Oilers, they could do some work on shoring up their secondary scoring. And you could say the same thing for the Flames. So
yeah, the interesting part is to win a playoff series right now, I would agree with you. Would be the Oilers over the Flames.
Okay.
But I like the Flames bottom of the lineup a lot better than I like the Oilers bottom of the lineup right now.
And that's fair.
Like if you take McDavid and you take Draisaitl out, you don't get much with the Oilers. If you take Nazem Kadri out of Calgary lineup, there's still a puncher's chance.
Yeah.
Because they're so well-rounded.
Yeah, no, I would agree. Yep. So anyway, are we going to talk about the Jets this week then?
Yeah, this week for the Jets, we'll throw in the doubleheader just in case we're not back before then. Because I'll be honest, we're having, with the Game Time TV playoff schedule the way it is, it's going to be very hard to try to come to a consensus on when next week's show is going to be. So stay tuned for that. We'll talk about the San Jose game and the Vancouver game with the knowledge of a back-to-back Calgary at home to Minnesota next Monday, Tuesday. I would expect we'll be back before that, either after the Calgary game or before the
or before the Calgary game. You're going to send me an email about Sunday night, maybe.
Yeah,
right?
so we're going to talk about the plan right now, just so we're up front with everybody, is to do a show at some point on Sunday. So for this argument, or for the sake of this discussion, let's incorporate the San Jose and the Vancouver game in there with the knowledge that we may not be back for those other two games in the back-to-back there.
Okay.
So how do you expect the Jets to do this week? For me, this is a statement week for the Winnipeg Jets. I'll start off because I usually ask you first.
Sure.
I think the Jets need to win both games against the Sharks and against the Canucks to calm this fan base down of worries of, oh, we're going back to the same old that we've always seen the last couple years after Christmas. Wah-de-da-de-da-de-da. Win a couple in a row, quiet this fan base down. Let's get back on the winning way. I think the Jets win both games before we're back. And to make matters interesting, I think the Jets win three out of their next four through till next Tuesday night.
Okay. I'm more of a show me. So I'm going to say they're going to go 1-1 for San Jose and Vancouver, and San Jose, Vancouver, Calgary, Minnesota. I say they go 2-1-1.
Okay, that's about on track of sort of getting back to where we came from. And if you throw in the Pittsburgh game, it will be 3-1-1 in the last 5.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much right on par with where we were in the first half of the year. And we will see you at some point next week, probably Sunday night, but it could be later on.
Yep.
Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Good night from Winnipeg. Enjoy the week. Enjoy the hockey. Enjoy Valentine's Day for those that celebrate. It's a very important day for some of us. We appreciate you making us part of your weekly plans and vice versa. We'll talk to everybody Sunday night, if not a little bit later on. Good night from Winnipeg. Have a great week, everybody, and we'll talk to you next week. Good night here from Winnipeg.